No contact is not a strategy to get someone to miss you. It's not a game, not a manipulation tactic, and not a way to make someone chase after you. It's a tool, one that exists solely for you, your healing, your growth, and your peace of mind. It is about reclaiming the space that was once consumed by emotional chaos and refocusing that energy on yourself. Too often, people go no contact with the secret hope that it will make the other person realize their mistakes, miss them, or even come back changed. But that mindset is dangerous because it keeps your focus on them instead of where it should be, on you. If your no contact is rooted in waiting for them to wake up, then you're not truly detached. You're still emotionally tied to the outcome of their actions, and that means they still have power over you. No contact is about breaking that attachment, not fueling it. Think about it. Before you decided to cut off communication, where was your energy going? Likely it was wrapped up in analyzing every little thing they did or didn't do. You were replaying conversations, trying to decode mixed signals, hoping that if you just did something different, they would respond differently. That cycle is exhausting. It drains you mentally, emotionally, and even physically. The decision to go no contact was a decision to step out of that cycle, and yet the moment you start questioning whether you should reply, you risk stepping right back into that energy. The moment you check your phone and see their name pop up, emotions flood in. Maybe it's excitement, maybe it's anger, maybe it's confusion. But if that message has the power to shake you, then it's proof that you still have work to do within yourself. No contact is not just about cutting off external communication. It's about rewiring your internal dialogue. It's about shifting from "I wonder if they're thinking about me" to "I am choosing to think about myself." It's about replacing the need for closure from them with closure that you give yourself. Because the truth is, closure is not something someone hands you. It's something you create for yourself the moment you decide you no longer need their validation to move forward. One of the hardest parts of no contact is the silence. It's in the moments when you're alone with your thoughts, when the distractions fade, and when you realize how much space this person took up in your mind. But that silence isn't a punishment. It's a gift. It's a blank slate. It's an opportunity to finally hear your own voice again without their influence shaping your thoughts. In that silence, you get to ask yourself the hard questions. What do I really want in a relationship? What did I tolerate that I shouldn't have? What patterns do I need to break? Who am I without this person's presence in my life? No contact is the space where healing happens. But healing doesn't feel like a straight path forward. Some days you'll feel strong, independent, and unbothered. Other days you'll miss them so much it physically hurts. That's normal. Healing isn't about pretending you don't care. It's about choosing not to act on emotions that don't serve your highest good. This is why no contact must be for you. Because if it's for them, if it's to get a reaction, if it's to test whether they'll fight for you, then the second they send a message, you'll feel obligated to break it. You'll start negotiating with yourself. Maybe I should respond just this once. Maybe they really have changed. Maybe this is my chance to get the closure I need. But when no contact is for you, the equation changes. Their message doesn't hold the same weight anymore. Their words don't have the same power to shake your foundation. Because your foundation is no longer built on what they do or don't do. It's built on the commitment you made to yourself. No contact is the process of detoxing from emotional dependency. It's stepping away from a dynamic that wasn't serving you and choosing to invest in your own well-being instead. And just like any detox, there will be withdrawal symptoms. The pull to check their social media, the urge to respond just to see what they have to say, the longing to hear their voice again. But every time you resist those urges, you're rewiring your brain. You're training yourself to seek validation from within instead of from external sources. You're proving to yourself that you don't need their words, their attention, or their presence to feel whole. No contact is not a form of revenge. It's not about making them suffer. It's not about proving a point. It's about deciding that your peace is more important than their presence. It's about recognizing that healing requires space And that space cannot exist if you're still entangled in their world. When you truly commit to no contact for yourself, you begin to notice a shift. You start waking up without immediately checking your phone. You start making decisions without wondering how they would feel about them. You start enjoying your own company without feeling like something is missing. That's when you know no contact is working. Not when they reach out, not when they show regret, not when they realize what they lost, but when you realize that you have gained something greater, yourself. Your past does not define you. Your past is not a prison sentence. It is not a life sentence to pain, regret, or the cycle of chasing people who were never capable of giving you the love, respect, or effort you deserved. Yet so many people stay trapped in their past because they have convinced themselves that it holds something valuable, something unfinished, something they still need, something that they believe deep down will complete them. That is the biggest lie your mind will ever tell you. What's behind you is only a collection of experiences, lessons, nothing more. The meaning you attach to those experiences is what keeps you stuck. And the moment you decide that the past holds no more power over you than the meaning you give it, that's the moment you free yourself. Think about it. How much of your life have you spent looking backward? How many hours have you wasted replaying old conversations, wishing you had said something different, wondering if things could have turned out another way? That time is gone. Those moments are sealed. They exist only as memories, yet you have allowed them to control your present. But here's the truth. You can't drive forward if you're staring in the rearview mirror. And yet this is what most people do. They wonder why they feel stuck, why they can't move on, why they keep attracting the same kind of people, the same kind of pain. It's because they are still tethered to something that no longer exists. They are emotionally living in the past while trying to build a future. You have to make a choice. You can either continue to let the past be a weight that drags you down, or you can decide right now that your future is bigger than your past, that your future is worth more than the mistakes you've made, the relationships that failed, the heartbreaks that tested you, because it is. Your future is powerful because it is unwritten. It is untouched by the pain you've endured. It is waiting for you to step into it. But you cannot step into something new if you are still holding on to what is old. The past wants to pull you back because it is familiar. Even pain can become familiar, and the brain craves what it knows. That's why people return to toxic relationships. That's why they check their ex's social media. That's why they answer that late night text, knowing deep down it will only lead to the same disappointment, the same emptiness, the same cycle. Because the past is comfortable, even when it hurts. But comfort is not the same as happiness. Comfort is not the same as peace. And comfort will never lead to growth. You have to be willing to be uncomfortable. You have to be willing to face the unknown, to step into a version of yourself that you haven't fully met yet. That version of you, the one who is stronger, more confident, more at peace, already exists. But you have to make the conscious choice to move toward them instead of letting the past drag you away. Ask yourself this: what does holding on to the past actually give you? Does it give you peace? No. Does it give you confidence? No. Does it give you freedom? No. It only gives you regret. It only keeps you in a state of wondering, second-guessing, waiting. But your future is built on decisions you make today. It is built on every time you choose yourself instead of the past. Every time you refuse to answer that message. Every time you stop yourself from checking up on someone who is no longer in your life. Every time you redirect your energy from wondering about them to focusing on you, your future is calling. It is filled with new experiences, new relationships, new opportunities, new levels of self-love and fulfillment that you haven't even imagined yet. But you can't access any of it if you keep dragging the past with you. People think healing is about fixing something that was broken, but real healing is about creating something new. It's about recognizing that you don't need to go back and fix the past. You just need to let it be what it was and move forward. The past cannot offer you anything new. It can only replay the same moments, the same lessons, the same emotions over and over again. And the more you revisit it, the more you reinforce the idea that something back there still holds power over you. But it doesn't, you do. And the moment you shift your focus, when you stop asking what if and start asking what's next, everything changes. Your future is waiting. It is stronger than your past. It is bigger than your pain. It is ready for you. Silence is not weakness. It is not surrender. It is not avoidance. Silence is power. Silence is a statement that cannot be twisted, manipulated, or misinterpreted. It is the clearest message you will ever send, and the moment you understand its power, you stop feeling the need to explain, defend, or justify yourself to anyone. Most people think that words are what hold weight, that if they could just explain themselves better, if they could just get closure, if they could just say the right thing, then everything would finally make sense. But words are often wasted on people who were never listening to begin with. Words are a tool for those who want to argue, deflect, and manipulate. But silence leaves no room for debate. When you choose silence, you are making a decision. You are deciding that not everything deserves your energy. Not everything requires a response. Not everything needs to be acknowledged. You are choosing peace over chaos, strength over reaction, and self-respect over the temporary satisfaction of engagement. Think about the times you argued, defended yourself, tried to prove your worth to someone who didn't see it. What did those words accomplish? Did they make them change? Did they suddenly wake up and see your value? Or did they just keep you locked in a cycle where you were the one always explaining, always justifying, always trying to be heard? Silence is the end of that cycle. It is the moment you step out of the back and forth and decide that your energy is too valuable to be wasted on someone who only ever pretended to care. It is you saying, without saying a word, I am done. And nothing is more powerful than that. Silence forces people to sit with themselves. When you stop responding, you take away their ability to control the narrative. You take away their power to pull you into their world, their emotions, their games. You force them to face the reality of their own actions without the comfort of your reaction. See, some people don't actually want resolution. They don't want to fix things. They want to keep the door open just enough to know that they still have access to you. That's why they reach out. Not because they've changed, not because they truly want to make things right, but because they need to know that they still have an emotional grip on you. When you respond, even if it's just to say, I don't want to talk, you give them that satisfaction. You confirm that they still hold space in your mind, that they still have an effect on you. But when you stay silent, when you don't even acknowledge them, you take that away. You leave them wondering. You leave them feeling the absence of you. And that absence is the loudest thing they will ever hear. People underestimate the power of silence because it feels unnatural. We are wired to react. We are conditioned to believe that not responding means we are weak or afraid or that we don't care. But real strength is in restraint. It is in knowing that you don't need to engage to prove your worth. It is in understanding that the strongest message is sometimes the one that isn't spoken at all. When you stay silent, you shift the dynamic. You are no longer chasing, proving, or convincing. You are standing in your own self-respect, knowing that your worth does not require validation from someone who couldn't see it before. You are setting a boundary without having to announce it. Silence does not mean you are passive. It does not mean you are ignoring your feelings. It means you are choosing yourself over the drama. It means you are protecting your peace. It means you understand that some battles are not worth fighting because the real victory is in walking away. It is easy to react. It is easy to get pulled back in, to want to have the last word, to want to be understood. But true power comes from the ability to hold back, to let go, to be okay with not explaining yourself. Silence also gives you clarity. The more you talk, the more you justify, the more you explain, the more tangled you become in someone else's energy. But when you remove yourself from the noise, you start to hear yourself again. You start to see things for what they really are, not just how you want them to be. Every time you choose silence, you are reinforcing the most important message of all. I do not need to engage to be at peace. I do not need to respond to maintain my power. I do not need to explain myself to anyone who was never truly listening. Your silence is a reflection of your strength. It is proof that you are no longer operating on their level. It is the ultimate sign that you have moved beyond the place where their words, their opinions, and their attempts to get a reaction can reach you. Silence is not empty. It is full of everything they are now forced to feel in your absence. When you go no contact, the message always comes. Maybe not right away, maybe not in the way you expect, but it always comes. It might be an apology. It might be a simple, hey, how have you been? It might be a long-winded attempt to pull you back in. And in that moment, your mind races. Should I respond? What if they've changed? What if this time is different? But here's the truth. Not all messages deserve a reply. The urge to respond doesn't mean you should. The temptation to break your silence isn't a sign that it's the right thing to do. It's a test of whether you are operating from your old wounds or from your new growth. A response must come from strength, not from fear, from clarity, not from confusion, from self-respect, not from desperation. Most people reply because they are looking for something. Validation, closure, proof that they mattered. They think that by engaging, they will finally get the answers they've been seeking. But what they don't realize is that the very act of replying often keeps them stuck in the same cycle they were trying to break free from. Ask yourself, why are you considering responding? If the answer has anything to do with seeking closure from them, you are already giving your power away. Because closure doesn't come from them, it comes from you. If the answer has anything to do with curiosity, wondering what they want, wondering how they feel, wondering if they still think about you, you are already playing with fire. Because curiosity is just another word for attachment. And attachment is what keeps you from truly moving forward. If the answer has anything to do with proving something, that you're strong now, that you've moved on, that you're no longer affected by them, then you are still letting them dictate your actions. True strength doesn't need to be announced. True healing doesn't need an audience. The only time a reply is justified is if it serves your growth, if it aligns with your highest self, if it brings you peace instead of turmoil, if it adds to your life instead of dragging you back into the past. So how do you know if responding serves your growth? You ask yourself, will this conversation add value to my life? Or will it reopen wounds? A message from someone who hurt you can feel like an opportunity to get answers, to gain clarity, to tie up loose ends. But in reality, most of these conversations don't lead to peace. They lead to confusion, frustration, and the resurfacing of emotions you worked hard to let go of. Am I considering responding because I feel lonely? Loneliness is a dangerous reason to reply because it makes anything look like a good idea. A simple, hey, from someone who once broke you can feel like comfort in a moment of weakness. But what happens after that moment passes? What happens when you realize they still aren't capable of giving you what you deserve? Will this response change anything? If nothing will change, if the same patterns will repeat, if the same disappointments are waiting on the other side of that message, then why entertain it? The person you are now, the one who has grown, healed, and chosen themselves, deserves better than another trip down the same road. Am I responding from my healed self or my hurt self? There is a difference between replying from a place of power and replying from a place of weakness. A reply from weakness seeks validation, seeks attention, seeks an outcome. A reply from power is neutral, detached, and unaffected by what happens next. Growth means recognizing that not every feeling needs to be acted upon. Just because you miss someone doesn't mean you should reach out. Just because you feel a pull toward them doesn't mean you should follow it. Feelings are temporary. growth is permanent. People will test your boundaries whether consciously or unconsciously. They will reach out to see if they still have access to you. They will say all the right things, make all the right promises, and try to reignite the emotions that once kept you hooked. But you are not the same person who fell for words before. You are not the same person who needed their attention to feel worthy. You are not the same person who thought that love meant tolerating pain. Growth means responding differently than you once did. It means pausing before reacting. It means asking yourself, does this serve me instead of what if they've changed? It means recognizing that the only thing you owe yourself is your peace. Not all messages deserve a reply. Not all people deserve another chance. Not all words deserve your attention. If a response doesn't align with your highest self, if it doesn't contribute to your healing, if it doesn't elevate you, it isn't worth your time.